about the fallout from this NSA allegations on spying. We welcome Alok Bawaj, CEO of Hidden Reflex. Welcome to Biz Asia America. Mark was talking about earlier, we're not sure how they're getting access to the main pipe, so to speak, because there is a formal process that the intelligence agency has to go through if they want to look at your email or my email. And what the accusation is that they're getting some sort of direct link into that pipeline. How are they doing that?
Sure. It's not exactly clear. First of all, let me say that there is a formal process they have to follow in terms of if they want to get a wiretap, if they want access to your emails, where they need to get court approval. But it's really, it's a process where there are tens of thousands of requests, and the number of requests that have been denied by the courts historically has been in single digits. So it's something where people have said that this sort of formal process gives rubber stamps a bad name.
Yeah. There's so many different angles from this. Let me just start with the political one first.
Sure.
A lot of people have said that the NSA is out of control because there isn't this checks and balance that, that they say they have.
Sure.
Let me ask you, are they in control?
It depends what you mean. When you create the NSA, their job is essentially to collect as much data as possible. And by that standard, they seem to be doing a pretty magnificent job. Now, by the standards in terms of checks and balances, by the standard that they need to report accurately what they're doing to members of Congress, they have failed in that respect. In terms of we have constitutional rights, as American citizens at least, a right to privacy. And by that standard, it certainly seems excessive in terms of the kind of surveillance that they're doing online.
Prior to 9/11.
To many legal observers, I should say.
Prior to 9/11, President Bush and even the administration previous to him was accused of not doing enough, not collecting enough data, not acting upon the data, not sharing the data, whether it was the FBI or the CIA or the NSA. Mm-hmm. And now we're talking about something perhaps on the other side of that. Is it possible they could be collecting too much data? And really, what is too much? Because we know for a fact, if they're suspicious that you and I are doing something that is illegal, yes, they can, of course, access our emails. That's not a shock to anybody. The issue is, are they tracking innocent people?
Well, they are certainly. They're tracking you. They're tracking me. In fact, the folks that reports seem to indicate that they're tracking most vigorously are journalists. Hundreds of thousands of journalists are reports that I've heard informally. And so
they'll be very disappointed with me, I'm sure.
Yeah, who knows exactly what they're looking for. But certainly they're tracking tens, if not hundreds of millions of people, or information about hundreds of millions of people. And the vast majority of these people, of course, are not even suspected of any crime, but they're storing this data. And there are vast dangers in terms of having this data.
So this goes back to Yahoo and Google. You heard earlier Mark talked to a couple experts, and the Silicon Valley is upset and furious. They've always come across as sort of on the edge of technology in America, sort of free and very liberal. And this goes against probably everything they believe in, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. What's the impact going to be on technology companies? Are they a part of the whole problem, or are they the problem in terms of the NSA's point of view?
Sure. So, for instance, our company, we create the Epic Privacy Browser. It's a private alternative to Google's Chrome browser. And there are many privacy companies like us with privacy-oriented software that are competing against Google, against Facebook, and others. And what we're seeing to date is we're not seeing a massive migration to privacy services. So we're not seeing a whole lot of people leaving Facebook per se or leaving Google per se. In massive numbers. Businesses like ours are still niche businesses.
But I guess my question is, does Google, does Yahoo, does the dozens and hundreds of other tech firms, do they have a right to be basically really pissed off about the whole situation here?
Oh, I think that,
because they're, in a weird way, they're partners with the government too. They obviously have contracts, they work with the government, but then the same people who are feeding you are spying on you.
Certainly. I think to the extent that these companies or that anyone has something like what's called a gag order, where they can't speak about and where they can't be transparent about what's going on, I think they definitely have a reason to be really angry. And certainly all of this fallout and sort of the repercussions to their brand name and their global kind of worth is something that they're not happy about.
All right. Alok Bawaj, thank you very much, CEO of Hidden Reflex. I do want to remind our viewers these are at this point still allegations of the NSA spying program if they're involving companies like Google and Yahoo.